It's about what type of state that we want to be. Do we want to be a state in which we don't hold our police officers accountable when they do something wrong? Or do we want to be a state that is stagnant and an old way of thinking of just because of the way it is, has to continue to be the way it is? We must move forward. We must pile on to our elected officials who, you know, let's be honest, I don't think really understand what LEOBoR is. Because I think for people who did understand and do understand what LEOBoR is, they'll understand that it is a police accountability bill that is not necessary. Okay, LEOBoR is not necessary. With our next speaker, he is running for governor in the state of Rhode Island. I would like to introduce Dr. Daniel Muñoz. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I grew up in Central Falls. So for anyone who grew up on these streets in Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, you know, we all know that violence has consequences. We also know that poverty has consequences. We also know that our communities consistently have to exist in a scarcity of resources, but we're asking for more. We're telling them what we need, and they're not giving it. But the moment a crime happens, we deserve it. We deserve the brutality that our youth are experiencing. There's a problem with that. Do I think that crime is right? No. Do I think that violent deterrence as a police tactic is right? No. Systems designed to destroy people's spirits will eventually destroy our society. Every time a youth gets abused, every time a human being is abused, it is no longer a deterrent. It is a flame that is going to continue to ignite a revolution. LEOBoR is the levee. We need to break it. We need to break it. I grew up in Central Falls. In the early 2000s, Central Falls PD was talking about innovating their police department. This is what innovation looked like. My coach was a cop. My football coach was a cop. When they see me walk the streets, they wouldn't stop me. But when the police officers that didn't know me saw me walking down the streets, they would stop me. Needing a connection with a specific police officer to not have fear to walk the streets is not progress. But I give them credit. It was better than what we were seeing, because we would cross over to Cumberland, where the current chief of staff to the governor used to be chief of police, and Central Falls kids were getting their heads beat in. Central Falls kids were being pushed on the ground with their teeth knocked out. Friends of mine, I will never forget that. It's full circle here in Rhode Island. And I'm telling everyone right now, it is not enough to talk about community-driven policing transformation, because I can walk past 3 cities in one town in 45 minutes. It doesn't matter if only Providence does something. It doesn't matter if only Providence has crisis diversion programs. If you walk over to Pawtucket and find yourself under the same brutality. I don't care if this is going to get me votes. I don't care. If we want a society that builds people up instead of pulling them down, we need to remove the barriers to accountability. LEOBoR is the first step. I'm going to leave you with the second step. Why is Providence PD always the focus? Because if the police department that meets the highest accreditation standards in the country is doing this to kids, what is Cumberland doing? What is Coventry doing? What is Pawtucket PD doing? This isn't about police officers that came into the force wanting to serve the community. This is about unchecked power. Unchecked power. It's time to check it.